On the gravel plains of the Namib Desert, scattered kilometers apart, sit what look like piles of storm wreckage. Heaps of split, leathery straps, gray-green and wind-frayed, slumped around a low, woody hub. Each heap is a single plant. Each plant has exactly 2 leaves. And some of them have been holding those same 2 leaves since before the Norman conquest of England. Welwitschia mirabilis is alone in the world in the fullest taxonomic sense, the only species in its genus, the only genus in its family, the only family in its order. Its nearest living relations are not flowers or grasses, but the conifer's strange cousins. It is a gymnosperm, a cone-bearer, wearing the costume of a beached octopus. It grows wild in one region only. The Namib, along the coast of Namibia and southern Angola, one of the driest places on Earth, and, by most accounts, one of the oldest deserts. The Austrian botanist Friedrich Welwitsch came across it in Angola in 1859. The species name botany settled on, mirabilis, is Latin for marvelous, and for once the Latin undersells. The design is what startles. Almost every plant on Earth treats leaves as consumables, grow them, spend them, drop them, replace them. The Welwitschia grows too and stops. They emerge from a pair of growth zones on opposite sides of the woody crown, and those zones never shut down. The leaves lengthen continuously from the base, like ribbon fed from a slot, for the entire life of the plant. The desert wind shreds the far ends into straps, the sun cures them to leather, and the heap of a dozen leaves sprawling across the gravel is, traced back, still just the original 2, oldest tissue at the tips, newest at the crown, a millennium of growth laid out in one unbroken ribbon. Below, a taproot anchors the whole arrangement. Above, the crown widens into a low, cork-rimmed bowl that never becomes a trunk. The plant has no interest in height. There is nothing here to shade it, and nothing worth competing with. What there is, most mornings, is fog. The cold Benguela current offshore chills the sea air, and the fog it makes rolls inland over the plains before burning off by mid-morning, the Namib's one dependable delivery of water. The Welwitschia's range maps onto that delivery. The plants live almost entirely within the fog belt, most within about 80 kilometers, 50 miles of the coast. And the plant's plumbing is set to the schedule. Its stomata, the breathing pores that most desert plants clamp shut by day, open into the fog, taking up moisture while the air is wet and cool, and close as the heat arrives. Days here can pass 40 degrees Celsius and nights can touch frost, and the Welwitschia sits through both, drinking cloud. Everything else about it runs at the pace such an economy allows, which is to say barely. Growth is measured in centimeters of ribbon a year. Carbon-14 dating of the largest individuals returns ages of 1,500 years and more, with the oldest measured estimated near 2,000. Welwitschias are male or female, separate plants, and they reproduce by cones, small scarlet-tinged turrets rising from the crown rim, attended by insects that ferry the pollen between the sexes. A plant that expects to live 20 centuries can afford a slow courtship. It is tempting to call such a thing a relic, and the books once did. The more accurate statement is stranger. The Welwitschia's lineage stood beside the conifers before flowering plants existed. The flowers then took essentially the whole planet, and this order's answer was to keep one seat, the seat nobody else could sit in. A 2-leaved condenser, parked in a fog-fed desert, is not a failure to modernize. It is a niche held so completely, for so long, that the competition never arrived. Namibia, which knows what it has, put the plant on its national coat of arms. At dawn on the gravel plains, the fog comes in off the cold sea one more time, gray and silent, and beads on leaves that were already old when the fog did this 10,000 mornings ago, and 100,000 before that, 2 leaves, still growing, still the only 2 the plant will ever need.